Tape script 11.31.1.
Mrs. Mom asked if I would go through all the class photos and choose the best ones. She told me she wanted to use them to make into a memory album.
Oh, cool. Can we help?
Yeah, I love to look through photos.
Here's a photo of Pizet getting yelled at by the zookeeper when he had tried to feed his sandwich to the leopard.
He told me the leopard was a man-eater and to stay away from the cage because it could jump out and bite me.
That was a great day. Mrs. Mom said it had been such a good day that she might do it again next year.
Do you remember our study group? Here's one of us working hard to review our lessons.
I remember that weekend. Wuti, you told us you hadn't made a list of things you needed to do.
I never did get that list made. Recall how Pizet was telling us that he thought it would be a good idea if we met every day to practice our speaking together?
It worked, didn't it? We all received 10 marks for our speaking exam.
Check out this photo. It was taken just before Miss Mom and Mr. Piret's wedding.
I sat next to Mr. Zowan at her wedding. He was very excited to see them getting married. He told me that on his wedding day, it had rained so much that the tent had filled with water. He said everyone had been having such an enjoyable time. They had taken off their shoes and continued dancing in the water.
I think this photo book is going to be great. My grandmother told me once that the best memories were made when something small went wrong.
End of tape script 11.31.1. Tape script 11.31.2.
1. Wuti said that he loved to look through photos. 2. Wuti told us it had been a great day. 3. Wuti told us that he had never made that list. 4. Pizet said we all had received 10 marks for our speaking exam. 5. Hing told us it had been taken just before Miss Mom's and Mr. Piret's wedding. 6. Pizet said he thought this photo book was going to be great.
End of tape script 11.31.2. Tape script 11.31.3.
1. I asked her what her name was. 2. I asked her if she liked dogs. 3. I asked her where she lived. 4. I asked her if she could dance. 5. I asked her if she had been swimming. 6. I asked her what her hobbies were. 7. I asked her if she knew my friends. 8. I asked her when she had to go home.
End of tape script 11.31.3. Tape script 11.31.4.
My neighbor Levan told me about an experience he had had last year. He said that he had been riding his bicycle home at about 7 p.m. Then suddenly, the shadow of a bird had flown in front of him. He had thought that he had run it over. When he had gotten off his bicycle to look at it, he had received a big surprise. There had been nothing lying in the road. Later, a policeman had walked up and listened to Levan's story. He had told Levan about a minor bird that had died in that area. Levan said the policeman's eyes had gotten really big, and in a scary voice, he had told Levan he wasn't the only person who had seen a ghost there. Levan said he had become frightened and cried that it was Avon.
I overheard Mr. Zowan and Mrs. Mom while I was working at the Chinese restaurant. Mrs. Mom asked Mr. Swan if he had done anything interesting in the past week. He told her he had gone for a walk in the jungle and it had been very hot. She asked him what he had done to cool down. He told her that he had found a tree that had a huge hole in it. He said the hole turned out to be a big cave and he had crawled into it. Mrs. Mom asked him if it had been dark in there and he told her had been, but that he had also found a river inside. He said that he had swum through the cave into another cave. She asked him if he had been in there for a long time and if he had been frightened. He told her he had been in there for about 3 hours, and at the beginning of his exploration, he hadn't been frightened. But as he had remained in there and swum deeper into the caves, he had become very frightened. He told Mrs. Mom with a laugh that when he had been able to see the sun and trees again, he had let out a loud cheer.
My friend Sam, who lives in the United States, told me this story about time he had experienced his first earthquake. He told me he had been at his desk doing his homework when the earthquake had started. He said the chair he had been sitting in had started to move across his room. I asked him what he had done. He said that when the floor had stopped moving, he had run out to find his mother. She had been in the kitchen cooking when the earthquake had started. He said he had found her standing in the front of the cooker and she had told him that she hadn't felt anything. Sam said that they had decided to look outside and see if there was any damage to anything. He told me that they had seen some trees that had fallen and had heard some sirens in the distance, but it hadn't been a very bad earthquake. Sam said he had seen on the news that he had only measured 5.5. He said the news also had said that although the hospitals had been busy that evening, no one had died.
End of tape script 11.31.4